The NFL is a relentless beast where the thrill of victory is often overshadowed by the agony of defeat, and sometimes by the swift execution of a head coach's career. Enter Robert Saleh, who was unceremoniously shown the door with security in tow by the New York Jets just 5 games into the 2024 season. In a league where expectations are as high as the stakes, Saleh's firing has sent shockwaves throughout the football community, igniting a firestorm of conspiracy theories and rampant speculation on social media. Why now, with a 2-3 record and still in the hunt for first place? Was it because of his culture, his background? Some believe he had a roster brimming with talent. Thanks in no small part to Aaron Rodgers, the Jets were expected to be contenders. But is that true? The talent and all that? Yet after a lackluster start, owner Woody Johnson decided that drastic measures were necessary. Was it a knee-jerk reaction to fan discontent, a desperate attempt to salvage what many perceived as a promising season? Spoiler alert, it's the latter. Or perhaps just another chapter in the sad saga of coaching instability in the NFL or any other professional sports league. As whispers of internal strife and accountability issues circulate, one thing is clear. In this age of instant analysis and viral opinions, every firing comes with its own set of conspiracies. So put the pigskin down, remove the game jersey, and grab your tinfoil hats and settle in as we dissect this latest twist in the NFL narrative. Because in the NFL, a coach's firing is like a quarterback throwing a pick sick. Everyone's quick to analyze a play. Was it a bad decision, a missed block, or just a stroke of bad luck? So, what really went wrong? Let's discuss. Hello, everybody. This is William Del Pilar, and this is a Points on the Board clip. Robert Saleh, a season of discontent, only 5 games in. Let's talk about the rise and fall of Robert Saleh. So, Robert Saleh was hired as the head coach of the New York Jets in January of 2021. In fact, we got a nice little picture here of Mr. Robert Saleh. He's a tough looking dude. I mean, strong looking, you know. he looks like he could have played the game. I don't know if he did or not, to be quite honest. But here, let us show you a wonderful picture of Robert Saleh. There you have it. Strong looking figure there. He was the first Muslim head coach in NFL history. I didn't really know that. In today's day and age, I mean, look at me, I'm Latino. Nobody knows that. And I purposely took a couple of pics here of the Lebanese flag there because we're going to talk about that. That became a conspiracy theory issue in all of this. So some of the firing details. Saleh was fired on October 8th, 2024, after a 2-3 start to the NFL season, and it came after 2 consecutive losses, including a defeat to the Minnesota Vikings in London. What makes that loss so detrimental is it was Sam Darnold, the Jets' past quarterback, who led that defeat. Woody Johnson, the owner, was in London where he was ambassador, had a big fan club of friends there watching his former pick, who they gave up on, come in and destroy him and lead the Vikings to a 5-0 record. I'll be the first to tell you, Sam Darnold was always a real deal. The problem with the Jets, that's where quarterbacks go to die, or they get drafted to die, or they go there to end their career dying. Joe Flacco. you know, Look at him. He's gone to a couple of teams doing very well. It's just this team. There's something about that culture. So this was the first time in over 20 or in a 25-year tenure that a head coach has been fired mid-season by Woody Johnson. Now, defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is named the interim head coach following Saleh's dismissal. Now, what makes that unique, people, is simple. Ulbrich did not call the plays, and we're going to talk about that in a bit too. So, this firing should not be as big a surprise to people as they want to believe. There's the man who fired him, Woody Johnson. Big Pharma Woody Johnson. I don't like him. But then what's he care? He's a rich billionaire. Nobody should be surprised that Saleh's fired from this perspective. His overall record with the Jets was 20-36 over 3+ season. Look, I'm sorry. The guy just rah, rah, rah. But some of the decisions he made, I'm like, what? But not all of it was his fault. We'll look at Joe Douglas and GM here shortly. The team failed to make the playoffs during his tenure as well. 3+ seasons. He was in his fourth season. Now, we're going to talk about it. They have a stretch of games coming up, which could have turned everything around. So maybe it was premature, is my early take on this. So the reason for the firing, the Jets offense was struggling significantly under Saleh's leadership. There were reports of friction between Saleh and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how much that's true, but that's what I'm hearing. That's what my sources are telling me. Of course, my sources are similar to the New York Times. It's an inside joke. The team continued to struggle with penalties, a problem that persisted from previous seasons. It seems to me that Saleh wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Be seen as a tough guy and yet a player's coach. Now, the problem with this is when Aaron Rodgers skipped out of the mandatory practices during the offseason. Saleh didn't do anything to discipline him. I'm like, are you crazy? I don't care. He's a leader of men. You're supposed to be the team's leader. He is a player's leader. And you do nothing? That undermines you, Robert. That made you look like a cuck in the eyes of the player. Who's in charge here? That causes dysfunction. That causes a lack of respect. So, penalties is also, to me, a product of a head coach with no discipline on his team. So what's the aftermath of all this? Again, defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich was named interim coach. The firing has raised question about the team's future direction and leadership. That's just what they say. Yeah, that's a given, but the locker rooms will regroup, the coaches will regroup, and leadership will emerge. The problem is this team better than their record? No, you are what your record is, 2-3 right now. So Saleh did release a statement expressing his gratitude to the Jets, players, the coaches, and fans. Hey, man. He signed off on his statement with all gas, no brake. Woody Johnson kind of put some brakes on you, bro. So then he had you escorted out with security. And I'm teasing. That's typical protocol. When I left my job, we all knew it was coming. When I worked at this nonprofit, I had turned down a promotion. I didn't like the responsibilities with no accountability, meaning if things went south, I couldn't deal with my team as I pleased. I had to go to somebody else. So they had to hire somebody else, which meant I was the odd man out. And I left the premises escorted, and it wasn't nothing malicious, it was just, it is what it is. So the implications of this, the firing highlights the pressure on NFL. Yeah, this does. There is pressure on NFL coaches to produce immediate results in today's NFL. Period. That's why you see the age rate of QBs at its youngest than ever before. It's like, you're a high draft pick. We expect you to get out there and win now. A lot of mediocrity out there. It also raises a question about the influence of star players like Aaron Rodgers on coaches' decisions. Maybe not necessarily in this case, but in other cases, that player, you got to keep that. Dan Marino, in my day, Dan Marino does not have a Super Bowl because I don't need a running game. I don't want a running game. It's all me, 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 me. Well, you thought you were going back to the Super Bowl after that second season with the Dolphins, didn't you? 15 years later, you're retiring with that being a distant memory. Robert Saleh did plead to I don't know if it was a Joe Douglas and Woody Johnson, the owner, whoever, but he pleaded his case, before being fired. The firing came after the Jets again were 2-3. Before his dismissal, he made a final plea. He focused on the team's upcoming schedule. And he's like, hey, look, it's favorable. We can get back in this. We got a good chance to turn this season around with this upcoming stretch of games. The next stretch of games, our opponents are 5-15 at the time. Denver Broncos were, I think they're 2-3 now. The Raiders losing record, the Giants losing record, the Chargers losing record. I said 5-15. I'm wrong. My data is wrong here. Plus a week is my data is wrong. But they're losing record. These are teams that are beatable. Now the Denver Broncos game would have been great, and still going to be great because it's Hackett. Sean Payton. The Broncos are coming on up, rising, playing good, strong football, and the Jets are still in their mediocreness. And here's the other kicker. Nathaniel Hackett still has a job. The guy never called plays in Green Bay. Then was given a head coaching job and put in one of the worst performances I have seen since watching football as a little child in the 70s up until now. One of the worst coaching stints I have ever seen. And he's there because of Aaron Rodgers. Again, there's that influence. Hackett should have been fired last year. He's that terrible. He kept his job. When I look at the offensive play calling, the offensive issues, I look at Hackett. And then you got to put some of the blame on Rodgers because he's the one who wanted Hackett there. But regardless, Saleh believed that these stretch of games presented an opportunity to the Jets. And probably so. The Las Vegas Raiders with Minshew and O'Connell, they're struggling at QB. The Denver Broncos have a rookie, and Saleh calling the plays, and that's an outstanding. It's not a top tier defense, but it's an outstanding defense that would have made life hell for them. The Giants are starting to improve. Daniel Jones is a veteran now, and the Chargers, they're just soft. So I could have seen them, go whether 2-3. I could have seen them going 6-4. Hold on, they're 2-3. Yeah, 5-4 after this stretch of games. Duh, I had to think there for a second. And despite his argument, Johnson said, "You're fired." The decision to fire Saleh midway again is unprecedented in Johnson's 25-year tenure. 20-36, though, it's hard to argue and defend Saleh. A lot of people said, hey, where was Aaron Rodgers? He met with Woody. What did he say? Yeah, he didn't get along with Saleh. It's because he was Muslim. He's Muslim, man. That had nothing to do with it. Now, Rodgers could have done better in covering his ass. He was on the Pat McAfee show a couple of days ago. He addressed rumors about his involvement in the firing. He strongly denied any role in Saleh's dismissal. He called the allegations patently false. He expressed resentment towards those accusations and the perception of his influence with the Jets organization. That's what I mean. He could have done a better job. He got his receivers there. He got the players he wanted there. Hackett's there. So, yeah, he does have influence. So it's like, dude, shut up on that part because you do have influence. I bet you if Aaron Rodgers has said, no, let's keep him for this stretch of games, I bet you Woody Johnson would have kept him. Now, if Woody Johnson didn't consult with him too, he's the owner. He doesn't have to. So he confirms he had a phone conversation with Woody Johnson Monday night, but it was unrelated to Saleh's firing. Had to do more with, hey, how you doing after getting beat up? It was a friend call is what he called it, checking in on his health. And that Johnson didn't discuss any plans. I guess I don't know what to believe. If people want to sit there and say he had a hand in it, I really don't have a leg to stand on. But then those same people don't have a leg to stand on because they have no evidence that he had a hand on it. It's just pure speculation. It's a he said, she said. Kind of like Diddy right now, except for the video. So Rodgers said he was fond of Saleh. He said they had a very solid, unquote, since they first met in 2021. He said that Saleh was a significant factor in his reasoning to go to the Jets, and that I believe. Funny, when the Jets, he checked them all out. They came, they met with them, so that I do believe. And, Rodgers also talked about the life of a head coach. Now, McCarthy won a Super Bowl despite Rodgers. And I say that because look at Rodgers. One Super Bowl. He's controversial. I don't dislike or like Rodgers. There's days I like him. I like the fact that he'll take a stand on his own. But overall, he does seem like an arrogant human being. But hey, he's a prima donna. I'm not defending him, saying that's why. So he doesn't have the killer instinct that say Tom Brady has, nor the dedication to the game as a Tom Brady. And he's much more talented than Tom Brady. Put Tom Brady's mentality into Aaron Rodgers, talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Super Bowls. Now, my question was, where the hell is manager GM Joe Douglas? The Jets offense has consistently been one of the least efficient units in the NFL. And that's on Joe Douglas, the GM. He's the one who brings these players in. A poor draft record, very few clear hits on day one and day two picks. Free agency misses. They got a low success rate with multi-year contracts handed out in free agency. Quarterback evaluation. He was responsible for Zach Wilson. In the quarterback's defense, again, quarterbacks go to New York and die. I'm still not so that Zach Wilson can't play in this league, especially after seeing Sam Darnold. I see him one and done after this year with the Broncos, barring injury to Bo Nix. Offensive line issues. The Jets have consistently struggled with offensive line. We saw it. I mean, freaking Aaron Rodgers has been getting beat up. Zach Wilson, being a little bit mobile, was running for his life last year. So they've had some high-profile additions, but the roster construction has been criticized, especially with the failings to surround the young quarterbacks with talent. Douglas handling the situation like Hassan Reddick trade, contract disputes, the consistent underperformance. And these points suggest that while Saleh had his shortcomings, many of the Jets' persistent issues from roster construction and personnel decisions, hey, that falls under general manager Joe Douglas. Why has he still got a job? So now let's move on to the conspiracy theories. He was fired because he's a Muslim. He's Lebanese, man. What you talking about, William? He's Lebanese. That's why he got fired. No, he's American with a Lebanese culture. Born and raised in Michigan, if I remember correctly. But terrorist groups being terrorist groups, they got to play the politics. CARE is a terrorist front. They raised concerns about the unusual hostility in Saleh's firing, citing the Lebanese flag patch. Now, let me show you again. That's the flag they're talking about. I'm sorry, people. Right there, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. That's the Lebanese, and when I guess NFL has a culture week or something like that, and that's when he wears it. And then also Woody Johnson's connection to the Trump administration. Trump has no issues with anybody. He's just in America first, meaning all these immigrants flooding our country. The toll on New York City, where the Jets are at, $5 billion last year alone in taxes going to illegals to house them. In Springfield, where they're allegedly not, or allegedly so, who knows? Who cares? But 20,000 Haitians have been dropped on there of a community of 60,000. Their services are strained. They come in and taking over completely over industries because they've undercut the American jobs. So it's not that Trump is anti-Muslim. He's not. And it's funny because Obama, he kind of shut the doors on some of these back in his day, but nobody said anything there. So this is politics that CARE's playing. And if you don't like what I just said, I can't help you. It's the truth. You can have your opinion, but facts don't lie. So CARE called on the Jets to explain their unusual hostile reported treatment of Saleh, suggesting a possible connection to his Muslim faith and Lebanese heritage. You know what this does in real life? If I'm an owner, I'm like, keep Saleh away from me. I don't need the headache of all these Muslim groups or this. William, that's so wrong. It is, but that's how people will look at it. So to make a political point, they're going to throw Robert Saleh down. under the bus. Joe Benigno, a former WFAN radio host, speculated that Saleh wearing the Lebanese flag patch during that London game may have played a factor in his firing. I don't believe that for a second. He has no proof. That's just shock talk by I don't know, Joe Benigno's a fat slob. But let's find out. No, he's not. He's just an old, crusty, ignorant fool, is all he is. Benigno connected the flag patch to the current situation in the Middle East, obviously, mentioning Hezbollah's actions in Lebanon. Lebanon's just a place where it's happening at. Israel's just taking out the bad guys. There's nothing to do with the firing, in my opinion. And Benigno has no freaking proof. He's just trying to drum up hate and create higher ratings. What a disgusting pig of a human being. So some social media users expressed displeasure with Saleh wearing the Lebanese flag due to current political situations in the region. Hey, that's where he's from. God bless him. Let him wear it. I don't care. And most people don't. What's happening is they're highlighting the outlier people. You know, it's kind of like when I get debates with my friends in the South who are Latino or Black, I'll just rip up and show them on X all the racist Latino, all the racist Black posts, etc., etc. It kind of shuts their conversation down quickly. And you know what they all say? Oh, those are just a few. They're not that many. I go, well, same thing on what you're accusing them of. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And they always tell me, you're just lucky, man, that you know this stuff better than I do. That's all. I'm like, whatever. It's important to know that Saleh wore the Lebanese flag patch as part of that's what it was, the NFL Heritage Program. I just remembered. And that encourages players and coaches honor your cultural backgrounds. I would have three flags: the Puerto Riqueño, Panameño, and American. If I wanted to piss people off because I moved to North Carolina, I had four. I throw in the Confederate flag just to piss people off. Not that I care. I never understood why honor a flag of the side that lost. That is one thing I never understood. So the NFL has actively promoted this heritage initiative with many players and coaches participating across the league. And there's no concrete evidence, again, provided anywhere that shows that the firing had to do with that. And Woody Johnson hasn't commented, and I wouldn't. I just ignore that crap. So where did the Jets go from now? Well, they have an interim head coach in Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich. I got a nice picture. The guy's a crusty old looking stud. Looks good in a football uniform. Let's give him his credit. Looks like a crusty old salt, doesn't he? And the Navy call that look at that old salt there. Look at that. He looks like a porn star with that mustache. You can't. I don't know if you can see it in the helmet there, but he's a nice football player. Supposedly he sent a strong message to Aaron Rodgers, indicating a new approach or expectations in leadership and team dynamics, and he needs to do that. He really does. You know, Ulbrich played college football at Hawaii, was drafted by the Niners in 2000. His coaching career includes stints in Seattle, UCLA, the Falcons, and then he joined the Jets as defensive coordinator. Here's the problem. It was Robert Saleh who called the plays. So now he's going to be head coach and call the plays. That's like a recipe for nightmares. See, that alone is why I would not have fired Robert Saleh. I mean, yeah, because it's like, who are you going to put in there? Nathaniel Hackett? Oh my God, you really want to throw the season away? So I guess in doing this clip here, I would not have fired Robert Saleh. You had no option to replace him. You replace him with an interim head coach who has never called the defensive plays, and now he has the head coaching duties. Now he's got to manage the locker room. He's got to manage a diva. He's never done this. And while Saleh was not very good at it based off his previous 3 years, at least he was dealing with it this year. That's crazy. So they're his supporters. Well, this creates continuity, William, continuity and defensive strategy, and it's going to give us a new style. Really, the defense was outstanding. Sure, they're not top tier, but they were better than average. And once again, Saleh called the plays. So, what's the implication for Rodgers, given Ulbrich's history and his currently supposedly immediate message? It could imply a call for Rodgers. Bro, you need to step the bleep up. I need some leadership from you. You need to have some performances here that can help raise what's the saying? When your leader, when your warrior, your fellow warrior plays up the par, it lifts the whole team and they start playing above themselves too. He's not showing that. And I don't see it changing with Hackett still calling the plays when Hackett never, oh God. It was a nightmare in Denver, never called plays in Green Bay. I mean, this team is not going to do better, in my opinion. And if they're aiming to reset expectations, they better aim low. Because I got to be honest. This team, to me, right now, is going to be in a world of hurt. This team right now is a team that is not ready for prime time. As the old Saturday Night Live show used to say, not ready for primetime players. That's his team. So what happens to Robert Saleh? He's going to take some time off. If I was the Niners, I would really pursue him hard, put him in a consultant role to work with their defensive coordinator. Who knows about defense, but Saleh is a genius defensively when he's got the right players. Maybe he wants to take a time off with his wife after 3 years of misery as a head coach. He doesn't deserve another coaching gig right away. He needs to go back to the defensive ranks, prove himself again. And the Jets were just a bad team for any head coach. I mean, that's also a kiss of death for head coaches. I don't know what it is, but I really look at a general manager position over the last decade, over the last 50 years. Except for the Adam Gase hire, which was hired by the general manager. So if I'm Robert Saleh, I think you got a little bit of a bum deal. But let's be honest, you were 20-36, so you shouldn't be. I was stunned. I was shocked. But we shouldn't have been when we break it down. But the reason I was shocked is who they're going to replace him with. They can't, and they haven't. And that's no disrespect to Jeff Ulbrich, but he's going from a tough situation as being the defensive coordinator who never called plays, being tough meaning you never had the respect of the locker room because you never called the plays. You're a former player, so they may have liked you because of that, but now you got double duty. Got to be the head coach and call the plays. You've never done that before. And you have a nitwit, and I'm being polite, as your offensive coordinator, who should have been fired last year. Woo! There you have it, my friends. A season of discontent. The rise and fall of Robert Saleh. Do not forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this podcast, Points on the Board. You can find this podcast along with my other podcast where I host Red, White, and Rude, where pop culture and politics intersect. This one, Points on the Board, where sports and politics intersect, and my conservative talk show, Fired Up. That's right. I do a lot of podcasting, and it's all good. You can find some of our other pure play sports podcasts for football and basketball, as well as our libertarian podcast. And we got more coming down the pipeline at grumblingsmedia.com, as well as our social media outlets, Rumble, YouTube, Apple, Pandora, Spotify, under the profile handle Grumblings Media. Thank you for listening. This is William Del Pilar. This has been a Points on the Board clip. And until next time, my friends, I bid you adieu.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.